Hi, welcome back. This is figure 2 question 4b, and as we approach this question, we'll be drawing the inside features first, starting with this keyway followed by the circle. Then we'll move towards the right and we'll focus our drawing on this segment of the problem. Okay, we will be using some new commands like creating arcs, and perhaps even the opposite of trim is extension of lines. And so we'll explore those commands as we create this particular problem. Alright, now after you have drawn your center lines, the first thing you will draw is your circle, and I'm going to draw a circle of diameter 24. Okay, and once I zoom in, I'm going to draw the keyway now, and the height of the keyway is 27.5, and since the radius is 12 and 27.5 minus 12 is 15.5. Enter. Now the width of the keyway, if you look at the top of the drawing, there are two numbers, one is 10 and one is 8. The width of the keyway is 8, so therefore on one side of it will be 4 millimeters. Then I'll be going down and intersecting this line. Once that is done, I will use the mirror command to select these two objects, and I'll right click to accept. Then I'll select two lines, press enter, and I would have mirrored the keyway. Okay, now once the keyway is drawn, I will trim away the inner segment of the circle, and this is what I have. Okay, the keyway. Now apart from the keyway, there is also another circle that's surrounding the keyway, and this is probably a hub. Okay, this is diameter 38. Enter. Okay, the next thing that I will draw is the center line. There is a PCD of 58 millimeters, and then what I'll do is that I will draw the outline. I know that the segment is 30 degrees from the horizontal, so it's 60 degrees apart. I'll use sorry, let me draw the outer edge of the circle. The outer edge of the circle, right, is actually R55, right? R55, and that will give me 110 mm. Okay, and what I'll do next is that I know I should be drawing a center line for this, but I'm using an outline because later I'll be doing some offsets. Okay, so with this center line, I'll type 60 for the length, and for the angle I'll type 30 degrees. Okay, likewise I'll do the same for the other end. 60 tab 30. Okay, if you don't want to do this, you want to do a mirror, yeah, that's fine as well. Okay, now the slot width on the sides, right, is 10 millimeters in width, so the half of that is 5, so I'm going to do an offset of 5 mm. Okay, and I'll offset the top, and then I'll select and offset the bottom. Okay, now once I have done this offset, I will draw a circle, and the circle, the slot width is actually 10 mm, right? So sorry, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw starting from here, and it's going to be 10, right? And I'll draw another one at the bottom, and this is going to be 10 as well. Oops, sorry, space bar. Oh, I think I overdid it. I think I did it too fast. Okay, let me do this again. This is 10, enter. This is 10 as well. No, this one is giving me a radius now. Okay, this one is radius 5, enter. Okay, then what I'll do is that I'll trim, and I'll trim this, this, this. Okay. Then I will trim this. I shouldn't have trimmed this line. Okay, wait. Sorry, let me go through that again. I don't want to trim this line because this line is my center line. I'll need it for later. I will want to trim this line away. Okay. this line and this line. Alright, I could trim this too as well. I don't need this. Alright, then what I'll do is I'll select this line and this line and I delete away. So now what I want to do is usually I'll spend some time to tidy up the drawing so that it doesn't get so messy. So I don't get lost. Okay, and now if you don't feel comfortable with this being an outline, you can select it and choose and transfer it to it being a center line. Okay, now I hope you can see the shape that is starting to pick up. And now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to draw an arc. The arc that the radius, yeah, the arc that spans across here. And the distance offset from this to the inside, if you look closely at the drawing, at the bottom right hand corner, there is a 6.5 value. So that value is actually 6.5, and I'm going to offset on both sides. Offset one side, and I'm going to offset the other side. Okay, now the arc will start from here, it will end here, and then the radius is along this center line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an arc. Okay, you need to select starts end radius. Okay, and it starts from here, ends here, and then you need to make sure that your white cross is on the line, right, so that it doesn't run about. And the radius is 24. Okay, so you enter and you'll get this arc over here. Now this is the time where you may want to tidy up a little, so I will tidy this up. This is not needed, this is not needed. Okay. And I will delete this because this is not needed anymore, right? And I've completed my arc. Now what happens is, oh, there is, let me think. Okay, I can trim the outside as well. Okay, and I could even trim this and this. Then you press escape, and then what I do is I select the overall arc and I press delete. So I don't need to keep trimming and trimming and trimming because it intersects every segment of the quadrant. Okay, so now I get this outline. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the internal feature, the slot that is in the center. Right, now what I'm going to do next is I am going to draw a circle, right, because I know that the center is here and it's R30. Sorry, I move my mouse over to the arc and I see the little white cross, and I know that that's the center. It shares the same center and the radius is 30, but now my circle command is in the diameter mode, so I will need to enter in the value of 60 instead. Okay, so that I get this. Alright, and I know the inner edge here is 5 millimeters offset from this edge here, so I'm going to offset 5 millimeters, and I enter. Alright, and then I also know that there will be an arc. Sorry, let me change this to center radius. I also know that there will be a center radius. Okay, sorry, before I draw the arc, you realize that when I offset the 5 millimeters, this line is not long enough to intersect this arc over here. So what I need to do is I need to extend this line. Okay, and the way to extend this line here, you can select it and you can click lengthen, and you can zoom in to specify your point. Okay, but it may get a little tricky and you may step to the other side. Okay, so it may take some time to lengthen it and get it right because it may snap to all the nearest objectives. So usually how I do it is I use this thing called extend. So it's the opposite of trim. I click on extend, then what I do is I click on the line. It will extend to the next object and then it will stop there, creating an intersection, right, which is what I want. Then what I do is that I draw a circle with a radius, and I go over to this point where there is a green square and I snap to it. Okay, then what I do is, okay, this part is a bit tricky. I will trim, go back to trim, and I will trim this side of the arc and this side of the arc. Okay, and that leaves me with this portion of the arc. And what I'll do is I'll select the outline and I'll delete the outline. And you notice what happens is that I have created half of the arc over here. Okay, next I am going to trim this segment and this segment. Okay, then I will select this here. Wait, hang. I will trim the bottom segment here. Then I'll select this whole large segment. I'll delete it. Okay, so I have drawn half of this over here, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a fillet. Select a fillet, and I type R for my radius. I want to specify my radius, and the first radius I want to enter is 2.25. So I've entered in before previously, so I'll just enter 2.25, and I'll select this, and I'll get a radius. Okay, I repeat that same command, right? And I type R, and instead of 2.25 now I'll enter 2.5 because that's the radius at the top. Okay, I'll press enter, and I'll select the first object, and I'll select the second object. So I've drawn half of this. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a mirror, and I will select this segment, the radius, the length, the radius, and the arc. Okay, right click to accept. Define the mirror plane, which is 2 points on the horizontal axis, and then keep the source object. I press enter, and I have this segments out. So you can see that I've already drawn the outline over here. I have got the center lines out there. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is I am going to do my array, but this is a rectangle array, so what I'm going to do is a polar array. With the polar array, I will need to then select my oh, sorry, I will not select the center lines. Okay, with the polar array, I will select the outlines. Can use the green box so it's more efficient. I need to make sure that I've selected these arcs. Okay, now once I got everything, I right click. I specify the center in which you will rotate about, and there it intuitively goes to 6 items, and that's what I want, and I click OK. Right? When you look at it, what's missing is the center lines for the other side, and I'll do a mirror. I did not choose to rotate the center lines because what will happen is that I will have duplicate center lines, and that won't be good because you have 2 lines in the line, and that's not right. Okay, then you select your mirror plane and you press enter. Okay, now next thing that I'm going to do, one of the things that people who don't like trimming, right, one of the things that they can do is they can draw a circle, and then they roughly do their trims over here. And what they do is they do trimming, and they don't bother with that lengthen thing. Okay, they just trim everything, and then at the end they delete the circle. Okay, so you have your trimmed center lines, you have your features. So you check first, always check your drawing. Ask yourself, have you done the keyway? Yes, I've done the keyway. Have you done the outer circle? Yes, I've done the outer circle. Then have I done the segment? Yes, the segment is there. Are all my center lines there? Yes, all my center lines are there. Once you checked everything is good, save your file, and that would be the end for this problem. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll see you again soon.